Coach, would Alabama's record preclude you for voting for Trevor Relaford for Player of the Year?
It would not. The Player of the Year, I wish they would name it Most Valuable Player because he's certainly very, very valuable to their team. And despite them having ups and downs, as we all have throughout the course of the year, he's had a tremendous year and certainly will be in consideration for that award.
Thank you, Coach.
Next is Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Hey, Bob.
Hey, I guess you won 4 in a row at Walton Arena, which is pretty unheard of for a visiting coach. And 3 of those have been on senior night, and this is another senior night. I guess you're going to try and ruin for the Hogs. Just talk about your winning streak here and winning on all those senior nights.
Well, Bob, I'd like to tell you that those prior 4 games would have some influence on our game Wednesday night, but unfortunately for us, they will not. Obviously, different set of circumstances, different players, different timing. I think Arkansas is playing as well as anybody, obviously in our league, having won 5 straight, playing with a great deal of confidence, a real sense of urgency that you would expect as they're closing in on trying to get into the NCAA tournament, and we know we're going to have our hands full.
And you guys obviously have been struggling here of late. Just talk about what your team's been going through, how you guys are playing.
Well, we're not playing as well as I would have hoped, Bob. We struggle in a number of different areas, and it seems as if when we put our finger in one hole, another one opens up, whether it be offensive inefficiency or our inability to rebound. We've really struggled, especially on the road, and that continued in our last outing against A&M. So what we've got to do is we've got to come in understanding that there's 2 games left in the regular season, and there's still somewhat of a log jam in the middle of the pack, and we're in the middle of that, and we've got to try to find a way to win some games and put ourselves in the best possible position heading into Atlanta.
Next up is Jerry Tipton of the Lexington Herald-Leader.
Andy, I'm wondering what you think of a guy like Trevor Relaford, who's able to be as productive as he is when the wins are not coming as much as he would like.
Well, he's a tremendous player, and he's a point guard, which means he has the ball in his hands a lot of the time. And with that, he's not really dependent upon anybody else other than himself. And he's playing with a senior sense of urgency. He realizes that his time is ticking down, and he's playing as such. I've been really impressed with the progress he's made personally in his game. He's always been fast with the ball. He's always had the ability to knife through defenses. But now his perimeter shooting has improved so much over the last 2 years, he's really a hard cover.
Thanks.
Next is Chip Howard of KZNE Radio and College Station.
Andy, you mentioned your road problems, but it seems in this league there is a real discrepancy between how teams have played at home and on the road. I know it's hard to win on the road, but do you have any explanation for why there's been such a disparity in how teams play on the road?
I think that's probably typical of most teams in college basketball for whatever reason. Teams don't seem to play as well on the road. I can just speak personally about our group, and we've got some inexperienced guys at a number of different positions, and even the guys we had returning are playing expanded roles. And with that comes, a little bit of hesitancy and not playing with the same swagger that you play with at home when you can kind of feed off the emotion of the crowd, and you're obviously much more so in your comfort zone at home, and as a result, you don't play as confidently as you need to play on the road to make the plays that ultimately decide winning and losing.
What did you see from A&M playing at home on Saturday versus, when you watched them preparing for that game?
Well, obviously they were coming off a hard loss at LSU in the prior game. I think they were 6-1 in league play prior to us going in there, and I thought, the first half was pretty competitive. I think it was tied at the half, and then the second half we started the half 1 for 14 from the field, and just put so much pressure on every other aspect of your game when you can't make baskets, and our inability to make baskets just allowed them to get the separation that they needed. I thought Alex Caruso did a great job of orchestrating their team, and as a result, they did what they needed to do.
Thank you.
Next question is from Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey Andy, what kind of season has Marshall Henderson had for you coming off last year? I'm sure he's been even more of a marked man.
Well, he's certainly been a marked man. His numbers are about the same, Bob. He's a volume guy. He led the nation. I know he broke the record for most threes attempted in a season. And I was looking at our game notes earlier this morning, and he's leading the nation in three-pointers attempted now because of his suspension and the fact that he missed some games. He probably won't break his record of last year, but he's the same guy. He's a volume guy that we need to make shots. I think that he's been more focused this year. I think his game has developed as it relates to understanding and staying within the lines and playing with the right sort of focus. But he hasn't varied a lot. Our biggest problem, and you'll see it firsthand, Bob, is that we've lost two guys up front that were pillars in our program for a number of years, and we're replacing them with younger and inexperienced guys, and as a result, we're not being productive up front.
And when you look at Arkansas's roster, they've had some guys who seem buried on the bench, like Mardrakus Wade, Antoine Bell, Ricky Scott the other day. And then they won't play for 3 or 4 games. They'll come in and have, good contributions. What do you think that says about the roster and the way Mike's handling that?
Well, I think it shows that they've got depth and they've got quality of depth. You obviously are very familiar with how hard we recruited Kai Madden, and Kai has developed into an all-league level player that I think everybody envisioned him having the opportunity to be. And then, Michael Qualls has made that huge transformation from freshman to sophomore. They had Harris sitting out. You add a Bobby Portis to that, and then all of a sudden, a guy like Mardrakus Wade, who's played a lot of minutes in that program, and a kid like Bell, who didn't play as much last year. Those kids now are more seasoned, and they're playing with a sense of urgency simply because they obviously want to get on the floor, and I think Mike's got them playing at a very high level.